Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing a video all about my study abroad experience. If you didn't know already, I just came back from studying for a semester abroad in Chicago. I was at Columbia College, Chicago, and it was an amazing time and something I definitely recommend that everyone try if you're able to. I've always wanted to study abroad ever since I started looking into universities, so I'm really glad I got to have this opportunity, and today I'm here to answer your questions about it and share my experiences with it and kind of tell you what it's like doing study abroad. So if you're interested in this, then please keep watching. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about is why you should do a study abroad experience, why I did it personally, and why I think that it's really a great thing that everyone should at least look into if that's something you're interested in. So I always wanted to do a study abroad experience because I really like the idea of seeing what different universities were like in different places, and I was considering looking into some universities in America before I started uni, but I didn't really feel like I was ready to fully move out there and spend my whole time there in a place that I didn't really know, and also I just love the unis that I found in England. However, the study abroad experience that I did at Bath Spa University, which is where I go currently, was really interesting to me because there was a whole list of places you could go to depending on what country you wanted to go to or what type of university, and also what your course was like and what different programs they offered at the different universities they're partnered with. So I think really the study abroad experiences are so amazing because you get to meet loads of new people, you get to study in new environments, see different ways of teaching styles, how different universities do it and how different countries have a different approach to university life. Also, you get to live in a different place for an extended period of time, and it really feels like you're living there as your home rather than just like a holiday or something. I have been to America a few times before on holiday, but it was nothing to compare to actually living there and studying there and getting really settled into the life of as if you lived in the city. Also, I found that the teaching experiences were really different, and it was really interesting to see how different unis approached it and how I could kind of change my work ethic and my learning style by seeing all these different approaches. Also, of course, you meet amazing people, amazing professors and lecturers, you make amazing friends on your courses, through your dorms, and just generally by living in the city. So I definitely think that it's something everyone should look into if you're interested in traveling abroad, living abroad, and just seeing what other things there are out there to offer. So a question that I got asked quite a lot when I was preparing for this video is about the application process, choosing which university to go to, how hard it is to be accepted, and what the process is with that. So I knew I wanted to study abroad from when I first came to uni, and I made it an effort to kind of look into the different unis and see what different study abroad opportunities they had. Of course, if you're already at university in your first year, then there are still, I'm sure, plenty of opportunities that you can look into. Usually you do study abroad in your second year or third year, depending how long your course is. For me, my course was only 3 years, so I did it in my second year, and I had the choice between the first semester or the second semester, and I went with the second one because I wanted to kind of get out the way doing all my second year grades and everything before I went abroad. So there wasn't that extra pressure when I came back after having this amazing experience and then suddenly having to think about my grades and what was going to count towards my degree. For me and my university, the grades that I got for second year were just what I got at my home university, Bath Spa, in my first semester, and then as long as I passed all my classes in my second semester out in Chicago, then I just got whatever grade I got in my first semester. So that was really handy because when I got out there I knew there wasn't too much pressure on grades. I'd already kind of had an idea of what I would get in second year, and I could really focus on the experience, kind of getting accumulated to the culture and the environment rather than stressing about getting the right grades that I wanted in the end. For me, the application process was pretty easy. They gave you a whole list of different universities and you could put up to 3 choices of ones you wanted to go to. You had to make sure that they offered the course that you're on and they offered the classes that would go with your course, because you can't really go out there and just do things that are completely irrelevant. There is a bit of leeway, of course, but your host university has to agree with the university you're at currently whether the classes would mix. So Columbia College is a liberal arts school, so they had loads of different classes on loads of different avenues you could go down. I think they had one in like yoga and things like that, and as much as I would have loved to study that, it didn't match my degree, which is English and philosophy. So obviously you have to pick the classes that match for you and that are going to help you with your degree in the long term. Also, for me, was completely optional and obviously depends on your university, but at my university there was an extra course which you could start in first year and do alongside the whole 3 years called Global Citizenship, and that gave you the opportunity to get some extra funding for going abroad, and also it allowed you to be more in contact with the international office the whole way through the process. They really help you look at the different universities and what will suit you, and but you can also of course do study abroad without doing any extra courses. It just depends on what your university offers, so definitely have a look at that. In terms of how hard it was to be accepted, I luckily got my first choice. We just had to write a CV kind of, why you wanted to go, why you wanted to choose that uni, and then make sure you'd found classes that were really suited to your course and would help you in the future. And so I worked closely with my tutors and with the international office to find the best university for me, one that I wanted to go to in a good location that I really wanted, and then also one that had the classes that would let me continue my course and maybe learn some new things as well. So in terms of choosing classes, usually once you've been accepted, preliminarily accepted into the university that you've chosen, usually it depends on what grades you get in first year as to whether you're eligible to go. For my university, you had to get at least a 2-1 to be able to go, so that you could show that you were a bit able to adapt to new environments and learning, and that you would continue getting the same kind of grades that you get at home. Choosing classes wise, they email you before you go, giving you a list of classes, and you email them back and you can register what classes you think you're interested in. Unfortunately, I didn't get that email until really late on. I don't know why that happened to me, but when I got there, the classes that were available, there weren't very many, and some of them I didn't really think were going to be that interesting, or ones that I was really that keen on. But luckily when I arrived in Chicago and we went to orientation, I was able to go through with the teachers out there and choose all the classes that worked for me, and I ended up doing classes that I all really loved, and I'm really glad with the choices that I chose. I ended up doing 1 in philosophy, 2 in English, 1 in cultural studies, which kind of ran between English and philosophy, and then some extra things as well, and then 1 in women's studies, which is something that I never would have been able to do at my university at home, and one that I hadn't really ever thought about doing or looked into, but it was definitely a class that I really enjoyed. The work was really great, my professor was really amazing, and I really loved the conversations that I could have that I can now apply to my studies, coming from a different lens. Like, I can use some criticism from women's studies in my English, I can use the kind of ecofeminism in my philosophy, so it's definitely, you get a lot of choices to decide what classes you want to do. And like university, your home university, there's always a buffer period where you can decide in the first few weeks whether you want to continue that class or you want to change. So there's always options. Don't feel like you're stuck to some classes that you've chosen before you go over there. They're always going to be accommodating to make sure that you've got exactly what you want to do and that you have a really good time. So the next question I got asked a lot was about choosing your accommodation. Because I was at a university in America, it was dormitory style accommodation that I was living in, the same that I kind of lived in first year. And if you've seen my second year uni room tour from when I was in Chicago, you would have seen what my room looked like. If you haven't, I will link it down below if you're interested in seeing what a standard kind of American dorm room in Chicago looks like. We had quite a few options that we could pick. I think there were about 3 or 4 dorm buildings that you could choose from, and then you kind of decided what room you wanted, and then they'd put you in the dorm that suited you best. So two of the most important things that I found, especially in American universities, is having a meal plan and having a roommate. So I opted for no meal plan because, as I'm vegan, I didn't really know what the options were going to be like. Also, I just really enjoy cooking for myself, and I was excited to see what different meals I could make out in America with all the amazing vegan options they have out there in supermarkets. So I'm really glad that I chose that one, because it meant that my meals weren't limited to certain times and I didn't have to go to specific places to get my meals. I could just eat pretty much whatever and whenever I wanted. My dormitory had a kitchen and a lounge as well, so it had a really nice social area that I could have friends over or just do my studies in or relax. And yeah, I'm really glad that I went without a meal plan. I also went with a roommate because it was cheaper for me, and I was interested to see what the experiences was like. Obviously you may not always get on with your roommates. I know some of my friends did get on with their roommates great, and then some didn't so much. I kind of had a neutral experience with mine. We got on a lot of the time, but we also didn't get on a lot of the time. But it's just adjusting to living with new people, especially in a new environment. So if you have any problems, obviously you can go speak to your RAs if you get there and you just find that they're not the right people for you. I know quite a few people that did that and moved rooms. But yeah, it's definitely, I think, a good thing to try and immerse yourself in the culture that you're going to and seeing what works for you and trying out new things. It's definitely made me appreciate not having a roommate when I'm home and having my own space and just not having that kind of drama all the time. But it really depends on how you feel. Obviously you don't have to, but the expense size also came into it. But I was overall really glad with my accommodation. I loved my room, I loved the building I was in, how close it was to my uni. It was only about a 5-minute walk away, and everything was very close together because it was in a city. Obviously there were buildings all over the city, but all of my classes ended up being within about 10-15 minute walk away from my dorm, which was really useful because it meant that I could, I don't know, sleep in and not go as early, or also meant that I didn't have to spend loads of money on transport. However, in terms of transport, the uni that I went to, it was mandatory to get a like a card for the subway and the tubes. So I just paid like a one-off fee at the start, and then I had unlimited travel on all of the tubes, on the subways, on all of the trains, and the buses also the whole time I was there, which was really good because it meant I could explore the city and I didn't have to worry about not being able to go to certain places because I couldn't afford it. So in terms of preparing to go on your study abroad experience, it is going to be a very daunting, stressful time. I knew that I wanted to do study abroad since I came to uni, but the few months that led up to actually going, I was terrified. I was saying to my friends, I don't think I can go, I don't want to do it, like I just want to stay home. I love where I live, I love all my housemates back home, all my friends that I've made at uni. I felt really comfortable at the uni I was at and the classes I was doing, that it kind of came up to the time and I was like, actually, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want to put myself out and try new things because I don't know if it's going to be the same. I don't know if I'm going to make friends or settle in. But as soon as I got there and I'd lived there for a while, I loved it. When it came to the end of the experience, I didn't want to leave. I still wish I could go back for a bit because I loved the city and I loved the university and the people that I made friends with. And so it's definitely just a period of adjustment and reminding yourself that this is something you've really wanted to do, and getting all these new experiences will be so beneficial in the future. And at the end of the day, if you really hate it, I'm sure there's some way that you can work out with your university. It's not, don't feel like you really fixed into something, because there's always a way that you can work it around so that it will suit you.